If you're looking for a Stanley Cup contender we're not spending nearly enough time talking about, Big D is your squad. There have been so many amazing stories in the NHL this season from three players, Nikita Kucherov, Nathan MacKinnon, and Connor McDavid, already being at 130 points, to Austin Matthews' thrilling pursuit of the first 70-goal season in 30 years. In this edition of the Power Rankings though, we wanted to give shine to some amazing performances from this fast expiring season that have, for one reason or another, kind of flown under the radar. Let's start with the guy who was a near lock to finish second in Calder Trophy balloting, Brock Faber. When you enter the league at the same time as a generational talent like Connor Bedard, there's bound to be less spotlight for you. But what the 21-year-old Faber has done this year, skating for the Minnesota Wild, is nothing short of astonishing. First off, what a great story for the Wild, acquiring this Minnesota native from the Los Angeles Kings in the 2022 trade that sent Kevin Fiala west. Faber joined the Wild from the University of Minnesota at this time last year and immediately showed potential. Faber is averaging over 25 minutes a night on the blue line. Only 5 players in the entire NHL are playing more than Faber on a nightly basis, and he's the only rookie to average 25 minutes per game since the NHL began tracking that stat 25 years ago. Faber could still overtake New Jersey's Luke Hughes for the scoring lead among freshman blue liners, and the fact he comes in the much desired right shot package means he's going to be even more valuable to Minnesota than the numbers suggest. Before we move on, let's just flag the performances of 2 other defensemen here. Now, the names Cale Makar and Victor Hedman carry as much weight at their position as any in the NHL. But for a few reasons, it's fair to wonder if they're getting their proper due right now. Makar plays on a team where MVP candidate Nathan MacKinnon dominates much of the conversation, while Hedman's Lightning really scuffled through 2/3 of the season. Well, Makar is averaging the most points per game of any defenseman in the league, and Hedman is having a wonderful point-per-game bounce-back season after a bit of an off year offensively last year. One player who was definitely on his game last year offensively is David Pastrnak of the Boston Bruins. In fact, his 61-goal season resulted in the Czech star finishing runner-up to Connor McDavid in the Hart Trophy voting. However, the summer in Boston saw franchise legends Patrice Bergeron and David Krejci both hang up their skates. With that, the 2 players Pastrnak had spent basically his entire career beside were gone. Nobody questioned whether Pastrnak would still produce, but he hasn't missed a beat and could yet still equal the 113 points he posted last season. Pastrnak has spent most of this year skating beside Pavel Zacha, and while he did spend a large part of last year beside his countrymen as well, it's still incredible to see the numbers he's put up without David Krejci playing wing on that line, or without Patrice Bergeron on the ice helping the #1 power play unit succeed. Speaking of big scoring wingers from a certain part of Europe, how about the second half Slovakian Juraj Slafkovský is having? There was no shortage of consternation in Montreal when the 2022 first overall pick began this season slowly following a disappointing injury-shortened rookie campaign. The week before Christmas, Slafkovský had just 2 goals in his first 31 games of the year. What's followed is a 47-game stretch where the kid who just turned 20 at the end of March has played at a 70-point pace, and he's really kicked it up lately with 17 points in his past 15 outings, including his first NHL hat trick the last time he touched the ice versus the Philadelphia Flyers. Slafkovský has looked like a unique, game-changing talent playing on Montreal's top line, using his hulking frame and sneaky good vision to help drive play alongside Nick Suzuki and Cole Caulfield. Doomsdayers in Montreal, who were already labeling him a bust, to say nothing of Hab haters outside of Quebec who were gleefully calling him the same thing, well, they've had to re-examine that extreme position. Lastly, let's give some love to the entire Dallas Stars team. This club was rarely at the forefront of the best squad conversation because it doesn't have anyone in the MVP or scoring race, or even in the battle for best goalie or best defenseman. What Dallas does have is a balanced attack that comes at you in waves. The Stars have 8, count them 8, 20 goal scorers already, led by super sophomore Wyatt Johnston and his team best 32 tallies. Everywhere you look on this roster, there is evidence of how well this team drafts, with rookie Logan Stankoven being just the latest example of the Stars' enviable ability to identify and develop talent. Goalie Jake Ottinger is finding his game at just the right time of year, and the Stars are poised to scrap it out with the New York Rangers for the best record in the NHL. Don't forget, the Stars team went to the Final Four last year and was in the bubble playoffs final just 4 years ago. If you're looking for a Stanley Cup contender we're not spending nearly enough time talking about, Big D is your squad. Now let's get a look at the full ranking. Look at the Oilers at number 5. How long ago does that awful start by Edmonton feel now? What a story it would be if Sidney Crosby can will the Pittsburgh Penguins into a playoff spot over the final few games. Tough year in Seattle after making the second round last year, but Matty Beniers and Shane Wright are doing their best to change the conversation late in the season. The NHL draft lottery is starting to seem real for a bunch of teams, and the Sharks are almost certainly going to enter with the best odds. Okay, I'm Ryan Dixon. Thanks for coming here all season long for the Sportsnet Power Rankings. We will see you soon.